Today on Update News, changes occur in the mayor and governor's office, in parking laws, and in city transportation. This is your city, your government, your station, your news. This is Update News. Over the course of the past month, Wilmington City Council has listened to and questioned each department in the city to finalize the operating budget for the upcoming fiscal year, which begins July 1st.
So we have downsized that staff significantly.
So your feeling for fiscal year 13 is the unit is about right? It doesn't need any further reductions?
No, because we have to double the volume
I
to
see.
get the money.
Right.
So we do need to have people available to work the volume.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Well, I'm going to disagree. And I'm sure some people here aren't going to be happy with what I'm about to say, but I think this is one department that is definitely top-heavy.
To be perfectly frank, I'd like to know exactly what challenges we have, and let's take them head on. I mean, when we're talking about an increase across the board, specifically with regards to stormwater, let's have at it, man. I mean,
well, one of our attorneys is engaged in that process, and there's been a lot of back and forth with the port on this issue.
I'm just trying to find out, what is the goal? What is the percentage that we feel that will reduce crime by this initiative? And what is the starting point for which we're going to measure the change in crime?
In March, Mayor James Baker presented a $143.4 million budget, which is $4 million above the current fiscal year, to Council. City Council members have held public meetings dissecting the mayor's proposal in an effort to determine how to tackle a projected $2.7 million deficit.
We will look at all the funding categories. We have, over the past several years, reduced the amount spent on consultants. We have reduced the amount spent on temp salaries. We have reduced take-home cars. We have reduced some funds for special events, things like that. So we will look at all those budget lines again this year to see if we can find some additional reductions. But yeah, I mean, Council, it's our role now to look at each department and see if there's ways to be more cost-effective and efficient in how we deliver services.
Wilmington City Council plans to vote on the budget later this month. By law, Wilmington has to have an approved operating budget prior to July 1st. Revamped parking and ticketing regulations have been put in place to make the city's systems more transparent and user-friendly. The reforms will also provide citizens much-needed parking opportunities in residential and business areas. The changes include discontinuing the issuance of citations for parking in a street cleaning zone once the street cleaning process is complete. Pending legislation that will offer a $10 discount on a $40 parking ticket if it is paid within 48 hours of issuance. And various time-sensitive notification overhauls dealing with appeal acknowledgement and parking ticket notification letters, as well as an on-vehicle notification letter informing the owner when they are approaching the $200 in fine threshold that will result in booting. A complete listing of the parking reforms can be found on the city's website. After being taken offline for modifications, the city's instant ticket program is once again being enforced. In 2011, Wilmington's Department of Licenses and Inspections issued over 6,500 tickets to residents who failed to maintain their property.
Paul, this is a typical example of what instant ticketing is. Instant ticketing deals with sanitation-related issues, high grass and weeds, junk and debris, illegal placement of trash.
In February, city officials halted the program to address concerns from a federal appeals court that is reviewing Newcastle County's similar instant ticket program. The county had used the city's plan as a model for their program. The revision eliminates the requirement that property owners pay a $50 fee at the time a citation is appealed. Also, property owners now have 30 days to pay off the fine and can appeal any time within 21 days of the citation. A $15 administrative fee will be charged for any appeal, and a written decision will be received within 45 days of the request. During this time, no other fines or fees will be charged for the violations in question. Commissioner Starkey urges the public to have a hand in cleaning up their neighborhoods.
Any constituents can make a complaint to our office, Department of License Inspection, at 576-3030. An inspector will be dispatched to the scene to determine whether it qualifies for instant ticketing.
one of our biggest concerns is the traffic snarling that's going to occur in this change in the bus routes. As been stated a couple times, Shipley Street is a glorified alley. It's a service street. It's not large enough to accommodate the kind of bus traffic that DART is proposing to send down that street.
The people who want to make this change, right, they don't ride the buses. All they do is sit back and look at the problems we have.
Speakers at a recent series of public hearings were overwhelmingly against proposed route changes for DART buses.
Honestly, I think taking the DART buses off of Rodney Square is not only a very bad idea, it's a disaster in the making.
I am wondering if DART and the City of Wilmington have taken into consideration the impact this plan will have on all the small businesses in the affected areas.
The proposal by the Delaware Transit Corporation calls for moving the bus stops that encircle Rodney Square and placing them instead on King, French, Shipley, 9th, and 12th Streets. Only the Wilmington Trolley would continue to stop in Rodney Square. Speakers at the hearing included business owners, riders, and bus drivers.
The big concern that I have right now about this thing is you're going to ask people that can't hardly walk. Some of them are in wheelchairs. You're going to tell them that they're coming in on 8th Street. They're going to go to 12th Street to make a connection to another bus. How are you going to tell those people that? They don't care. Those are the people that this is going to affect the most, in my opinion. The other people is the 200, 300 people that's going to be standing there during rush hour traffic being run over by these wheelchairs, being run over by people trying to get to another bus.
According to DART, spreading the stops downtown will alleviate the safety concerns due to overcrowding around Rodney Square, where buses routinely have to park 2 or 3 wide to pick up and discharge passengers. An independent study commissioned by DART found no significant safety or traffic impact on routing buses on Shipley Street. However, the study did recommend adding striping and signage and removing certain parking spots along the routes to make it safer for pedestrians and buses. A second study, commissioned by a business owner, found difficulties with buses encroaching traffic at 10th and Shipley Streets and the possibility of preventing motorists from leaving a parking garage in the area. Wilmington City Council passed a resolution calling for Rodney Square to remain as the city's bus hub until a suitable alternate hub is found.
This Shipley Street idea, though, I just find is crazy. I don't know why DART won't let go of that. That's just got to go. So I will support this only because I do like the addition of the language at the end, and plus the fact that I think that Shipley Street is in no condition to be a bus route, too.
Rodney Square creates a synergy. It makes us a city. At the same time, I'm respectful of all the businesses down there because they have invested money in their businesses and they want, Rodney Square to look well. But I think that we can have the best of both worlds, keeping it clean, allowing the people to be there. And it's a safety factor where all the people come down there at the same time. I believe as we're doing Rodney Square, the bus hub should stay there until something else comes available.
8th District Councilmember Steve Martelli spoke against the resolution.
It's a beautiful park. It's not a bus stop. That's the bottom line. I don't think it warrants 1,100 buses coming through there daily. It's not what it's meant for. It's not what it's made for. The vegetation's impacted. The pollution's hit. Traffic, everything else that you can imagine as a result of that hub being in the center of the city just doesn't make sense to me.
Although the realignment plan was slated to begin on June 17th, DART has decided that the original proposal needs additional deliberations. Findings of an independent review of the transit service in downtown Wilmington are due in early July. The Delaware Transit Corporation will consider the study before proposing any changes in bus alignments. Phase 1 of a project to improve the look of Rodney Square has begun. The City of Wilmington, DelDOT, and the Delaware Center for Horticulture are working together on a $1 million project to spruce up the downtown park. Over the next 6 months, crews will be replacing some of the trees surrounding the square, upgrading the sidewalk, curb, and curb ramps around the park, installing new pedestrian crosswalks and decorative light fixtures, and alleviating stormwater runoff. The first phase, which is expected to be completed by November, will concentrate on the 10th Street and King Street sides of the park. $800,000 of federal funding is being used on the project, with the remaining $200,000 coming from public and private support, as well as from state legislators. According to DART, bus service will not be impacted during the reconstruction. A May 1st deadline for members of Occupy Delaware to vacate their encampment at Peter Spencer Plaza has passed without movement from the group. Mayor Baker requested the organization leave the area due to what the city claims are violations of both the city code and an initial agreement between Wilmington and the Occupy Delaware organizers. Documents filed by the city with the courts claim that protesters have engaged in criminal misconduct, illegal drug activity, the destruction of public property, and the site has safety and sanitation violations. Mayor Baker said he was disappointed that the group did not agree to remove its encampment and have chosen instead to continue with their seizure of public property. Wilmington officials agreed to allow protesters to stay in Spencer Plaza late last year after other sites in the city were deemed unfit for extended use. The American Civil Liberties Union and the City of Wilmington have asked Chancery Court to issue a ruling regarding the plan to evict the group from the plaza. A trial has been scheduled on the matter beginning August 20th, and Wilmington officials will not forcibly remove the protesters while awaiting a decision from the court. Peter Spencer Plaza is located on French Street next to the Federal Building and across the street from both the state and city-county buildings. J.P. Morgan Chase & Company has told the state that it is preparing to bring 1,200 new jobs to Delaware by the end of next year. The positions will partially be funded through a $10 million state job development grant that calls for an average salary of $76,000 for the new hires. The company has announced plans to make a $50 million capital investment in Delaware. Currently, Chase employs 6,000 people throughout the state, mainly in Wilmington and Newark. 600 new employees will be hired by the end of this year, and the remaining 600 by the end of 2013. According to provisions in the state's grant, Chase must maintain the positions for a minimum of 3 years. The new employees will be hired through Chase's Delaware businesses, which include card services, asset and wealth management, treasury and security services, and investment banking. Bloom Energy has broken ground in Newark on a new factory that will employ 900 workers. Manufacturing of Bloom boxes, which produce electricity with natural gas without carbon emissions, will begin in the summer of 2013. The factory is being built on the former Chrysler Automobile Assembly site, which is now part of the University of Delaware campus. Bloom received $18 million in subsidies from Delaware to open operations in the state. Delmarva Power is one of a growing number of companies that have come to an agreement with Bloom Energy to buy the boxes. Owens Corning, Urban Outfitters, Washington Gas, AT&T, and Apple have also signed contracts with Bloom. The new site will be the company's second factory. A plant in Sunnyvale, California, currently employs more than 1,000 workers. Wilmington celebrated the Arbor Day and Earth Day holidays with demonstrations aimed at showing the public the importance of giving back to the environment. With help from the Delaware Center for Horticulture, along with volunteers from Barclays Bank and local tree service companies, students from St. Anne's School, Highlands Elementary School, and the St. Anthony of Padua Grade School were able to get hands-on experience in keeping their neighborhoods green. The 3rd and 4th graders learned the ways that professionals maintain a tree canopy, and each took a turn in helping to plant new trees in Stapler Park. Mayor Baker, along with Wilmington's Director of Parks and Recreation, Romaine Alexander, were on hand to accept the city's 19th consecutive Tree City USA Award. Earth Day in Wilmington was celebrated with a festival in Rodney Square. North Creek Nurseries and Pinelands Nursery and Supply donated tree saplings for home planting, and local exhibitors shared products and services that could be used to make our planet healthier. Lillian Lowry, who as the state Secretary of Education was able to secure for Delaware the first Race to the Top funds in the nation, has resigned to become superintendent of schools for the state of Maryland. She was appointed by Governor Jack Markell in 2009 to help reform student testing, curriculum, and teacher accountability. Governor Markell thanked the secretary for helping to bring people together and moving our state forward, always remembering that kids' needs come first. Mark Murphy, the executive director of a Wilmington-based nonprofit organization, has been nominated by the governor to replace Lowry, and his appointment has been confirmed by the Delaware Senate. Murphy, a city resident, currently runs the Vision Network, an organization that operates in 26 Delaware schools. He was previously a teacher and principal in Maryland's public school system, and had also been the executive director for New Leaders for New Schools, an education-based nonprofit organization in New York. Bill Montgomery, the highest-ranking non-elected official in city government, has resigned as Mayor Baker's chief of staff. Montgomery, who supervised the city's department directors, was responsible for the day-to-day management of the city departments, offices, boards, and commissions.
I resigned from the mayor's office after 11 years and 3 months and so many days service because I have decided to run for mayor of Wilmington. And the issue came up of whether or not I had a conflict with the Federal Hatch Act. And it's the thing we all know of. It's the law that says federal employees can't run for office. But there's a sort of a little known aspect where local government, folks in state and local government who have something to do with federal funds can be prohibited as well. I asked the feds for an opinion. When it didn't come quickly, I just decided to take the safer route and simply resign my job and move on. It's a little tough, and I had to fight the feeling to pick up the phone and call. But it's also interesting to be out of the government and look at it from the outside again for the first time in 11 or so years. So it's a little bit I've had a little bit of separation anxiety, but I'm getting over it.
Mayor Baker has announced the appointment of Tanya Washington as the new chief of staff. With her appointment, Washington becomes the highest-ranking female in the city's history. John Rago has been appointed as the new deputy chief of staff. He had previously served as the mayor's director of communication. Both Washington and Rago are longtime members of the Baker administration. St. Elizabeth's High School graduate Khadijah Rushton was selected in the first round of this year's Women's National Basketball Association draft. The Wilmington native was chosen 15th overall by the Los Angeles Sparks. While in high school, Rushton became the first 5-time first-team All-State basketball player in Delaware history and was named the state's Player of the Year 3 times.
And I'm here today to let you know that in the fall I will attend or plan on attending Rutgers University.
In 2007, she began her collegiate career as a point guard for Rutgers University. Rushton finished this year as the team's leading scorer, and she has played in more games for the Scarlet Knights than any other player in the school's history. Employees of the City of Wilmington joined Mayor Baker in vowing to continue the fight against racism. The YWCA partnered with the city in encouraging participants to recite an oath of support for peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all people. Individuals also signed a large pledge card to show their support. The card can be found in the lobby of the Lewis L. Redding City County Building. On the anniversary of the death of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., members of the Mother AUMP Church Quilting Club joined Mayor Baker, Director of Cultural Affairs Tina Betts, and students from Coomba Academy at the unveiling of a dream quilt honoring the late civil rights leader. Inspiring messages of hope, unity, and justice are written on the squares of fabric that make up the quilt. We'll leave you today with some of the sights and sounds of the dream quilt unveiling at the Lewis L. Redding City County Building. Thanks for watching.
Dr. King on a stormy night came to the Masonic Temple. Who would have known that that would have been the last speech that he gave? But today we recognize 44 years later, the day that he lost his life. And so today I'd just like to share with you briefly some of the words from that final speech, the mountaintop. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. And I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. And so I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the the glory of the coming of the Lord. Thank you.